Today you're going to learn how to make a drinkable mochi bubble tea recipe. I love mochi. Mochi balls, mochi ice cream, the sky's the limit. But have you ever thought about drinking mochi in a milk tea? Well, it's another one of my favorite ways to enjoy mochi. And it's super easy to make at home in less than 5 minutes. All you need is a few ingredients, a microwave, and a drink of your choice. So let's get started. This recipe today will make enough for 2 drinks, or depending on how much mochi you want. We're going to be using weight instead of volume in this recipe today. And I'm going to be using grams because I find it's a very good precise measurement. I'll be sure to put the recipe in the description below. So first we're going to measure our dry ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and measure the powders separate from the liquids. So first is 50 grams of glutinous rice flour, also known as glutinous rice powder, and it's a ground sweet rice, also called sweet rice flour. Not to be confused with rice flour, which is more like a wheat product. Glutinous rice flour can usually be found in Asian or Chinese supermarkets or online. Next is 10 grams of castor sugar, also known as superfine sugar in America, but not to be confused with powdered sugar. So again, we're going for a superfine sugar. In the UK, it's called castor sugar, which is found in the baking aisle. We're going to put the receptacle that we're going to be putting powder in, we're gonna hit on, which usually tears it or tars it at the same time to 0. And again, we're doing this unit in grams, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and fill it up until we get to 50 grams. Next is the castor sugar. So you can either continue on to that or you can hit the tare button again. And it weighs more than the rice flour, so we won't be using as much. So see how that 1 teaspoon gave 6 grams? Now we're at 7, 8, 9, and 10. There we go. Because like I said, the sugar weighs more than the rice flour, which is why we're doing it in units of weight and not by volume. Okay, we're going to put that off to the side, and next we're going to do our wet ingredients. And next we're going to weigh in 150 grams of semi skimmed or low fat, non-fat milk, and then 50 grams of room temperature water. Now we can also do this step in milliliters, but since we're already weighing it, let's just go ahead and do it this way. Okay, so I'm just gonna put my large bowl on there and again hit the on tare button. And first we want 150 grams of the milk. Hit the tare button. Next we're going to add 50 grams of room temperature water. Now we want to whisk the dry ingredients in slowly or a little bit at a time. Make sure everything is really well combined and don't be concerned about any air bubbles. And a little bit at a time, we're going to add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients and just give it a quick whisk. So now that I've added it all in, I'm just gonna give it a good whisk. All right, perfect. I'm just gonna leave this whisk off to the side. We're going to use it again in just a moment. This here is an 800 watts microwave. Now this is quite normal, microwaves, for them to be between 500 to 800, but sometimes you might have a microwave that is less or more than that. So just keep that in mind when you are actually microwaving. If it's a lower wattage, you may need to do more time, and if it's a higher wattage, you may need to do less time. An important thing to remember when you're microwaving the glutinous rice powder is that you should only microwave it in 30-second intervals, pausing in between, and then giving it a really good whisk. For this recipe, on my 800 watt microwave, I'm going to be doing a total of 4.5 minutes. But depending on how thick you want yours to be, you could always microwave it for slightly more, or if you would like it to be more thin, you can microwave it for slightly less. Alternatively, you can do things like adding more milk or less, So that's the nice thing about this recipe, is you can perfect it over time. And I wouldn't recommend using this microwave with the glutinous rice flour for more than 30 seconds at a time. If you go for a minute, there's a chance that it can burn. This is a slow and steady wins the race sort of recipe. And as we are using a microwave and it can cause a fire, adult supervision is recommended. Okay, so we're going to pop this in for the first 30 seconds. Okay, so the first 30 seconds is up. I'm basically going to take it out, give it a quick whisk, put it back in for 30 seconds. You're going to continue doing this until you reach 4 minutes and 30 seconds. All right, so you can basically see where I'm going with this. You want to put it in for 30 seconds, and then when it's done, remove it, give it a quick whisk, put it back in, 30 seconds. When it's done, remove it, give it a quick whisk, and just keep doing this until you reach 4.5 minutes in total. And what you'll find in between these 30-second increments is that the mochi will slowly start to formulate. That's why we want to keep whisking it really well, just to kind of prevent it from caking or cooking in just one area. We want to keep redistributing that heat. And what you'll find towards the end is that it does start to get a little bit more thicker. But just keep whisking it, because that will help it to combine and to give it a really good, even cooked texture. So even though it starts to look like it's taking form, you want to continue cooking it until you really feel like it's completely ready to go. Because like I said, everyone's wattage of their microwave will be slightly different. So again, I know for mine, it's 4.5 minutes because I've done this enough and I know the exact consistency that I enjoy. But for some of you, you might like it thinner or you might like it thicker. But we definitely want to make sure that that glutinous rice flour is fully cooked. And you'll be able to slightly taste the difference between when it's not cooked enough and it is cooked. So as you can see here, it looks like it's almost ready. It isn't, but it's getting there. Very, very close. We would be okay to serve it at this state, but we want to have a kind of a thicker consistency when we actually have the liquid drink in there. And then that way there's more of a difference when you're actually drinking it up through your straw. Again, another quick whisk. You can see here how much thicker it has become. Really like almost like a giant goopy ball. That's exactly what we're looking for. Whereas before it was a bit thinner, but this one, when you give it a quick whisk, it really wants to stay together. You see this? Beautiful, shiny as well. I would say we are ready. Look at that. That's exactly what we want. Perfect. So again, it's got that really, really thick consistency that when you give it a whisk, I mean, it just really wants to stay together. There's no doubt about it. It's just like a giant glutinous rice ball of goodness with a milky creaminess and a slight sweetness. Perfect for a bubble tea drink. Okay, and we're gonna give it a quick taste. Yeah, really nice. Good flavor, very light as well. I think it'll be perfect, you know, when it goes into the drink, because the drink itself will be slightly cold, which will sort of harden it just a tad, which is perfect because when it's going through the straw, that way you get that consistency coming through. It's kind of like an alternative to Boba tapioca pearls, if you will. It's just a really fun thing to drink. So let's go ahead and make it as a base layer for some of our bubble tea drinks. We want to put a good layer of it in the bottom of our glass. Okay, and this one I'm going to push up against the sides just a tad here. So this one on the left, I've pushed up against the sides, and then that way you can see how that effect looks. Whereas the one on the right, I did the drop-in effect. Both of them will give a nice layered effect. And go ahead and pour over your favorite drink. And first, I'm gonna do a charcoal milk tea. I prefer milk tea, and it doesn't really need any other additional toppings because it's basically a topping on its own. And next, we're going to do a strawberry milk. And it can also be quite popular to add a layer of foam or mousse on top for aesthetics. And why not consider experimenting with different types of flavors or colors, especially if you're doing a layered effect. So as you can see right here, the one that I pushed up against the sides, it gives more of a sort of gradient effect, where this one, I didn't, I just dropped it in, and then that way it gives more of a stark contrast for the color. All right, so I've got both drinks here, one with the gradient effect and one with the layered effect, and I know both of them are gonna taste amazing, so let's give them a try. Give it a little bit there. Oh yeah, super, super delicious. Like I said, I love mochi, and there's just something about drinking it that is so much fun. It's like it takes your milk tea to a whole new level. It is just so amazing. Okay, and next we're gonna try this strawberry milk one. Break it up a bit. The other reason why I like to do that is it makes it a little more chunky when coming up through the straw. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's so good. This is a really, really fun one to drink. Not only is it delicious, but the consistency is just, it's totally different than boba tapioca pearls, but if you're really into that sort of thing, then it's that sort of same experience that you're kind of eating it while you're drinking it. It's a lot of fun. Well, thanks so much for joining me again today. I'll see you again real soon. Take care.